From the beautiful campus of Casper College, it's time to dive into the world of Casper College athletics with another episode of the Casper College Coaches Show. Now here's your host, Phil Kohler.
Welcome, fans of the Casper College Coaches Show. I'm your host, Phil Kohler, joined by the head coach of the Casper College Thunderbirds, Tom Parks. Coach, first off, welcome back. You weren't here last week. Health reasons. How's the team feeling? How's everybody doing? I know there was a bug that kind of ran through the team and through your family as well.
Right. I think there's just some nasty stuff going around.
It's that time of year.
Yeah, it's that time of year. But I think we're almost in the clear. Everybody's healthy for the most part. We're just getting over maybe some residual stuff, but we're all healthy now. And exciting time of year, second semester starting, students back on campus, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, now is it true that you hurt some feelings in practice last week? Because I heard you jumped in and I heard you were giving buckets to the guys. Is that true?
Shout out whoever said that.
Okay.
Because I was told after the game by multiple guys, they said I didn't make the team. They were nice about it. They said there was a couple manager spots available if I was interested, but yeah, no, we had to, we got to use our resources, and my body didn't feel too good the next couple of days.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So,
I can imagine.
It was fun, though.
Yeah. So, Coach, you guys go on the road last week. You guys lose a heartbreaker to Lamar, 107-102. Really high-scoring game. Jimma leads the way with 27 points off the bench. Malik Rebetez adds 20. We'll talk about that game on Thursday and how that went for you guys.
Yeah, it was an interesting game. Obviously, a long trip for a single game. A tough environment to play in, but it was a game that we're still trying to get back to where we were. A lot of our system, is predicated off how good a shape we're in. Sure. And we've had a really interesting, week and a half of practice. But I guess my thing is we may have not been ready to play the style that we want to play. But are we going to just try to win the game? Or are we going to look at the big picture and be like, this is how we're going to play? So let's get those reps in. And honestly, there wasn't an issue scoring the ball. We did not play great on the defensive end. Sure. And there were stretches where Lamar scored, multiple, 4, 5, 6 possessions in a row. And it's hard to win games. It's definitely hard to win road games like that.
Absolutely. You talk about how difficult life on the road can be in Region 9. You talk about that long trip. Lamar's a team that you could potentially see in a Region 9 play. Sure. So how important was it for you guys to at least even get that trip down there and get a chance to see them play? Yeah,
in a perfect world, I'd love to play everybody in the South. I think there's some people that would like to save that matchup for a region tournament and play once, but I think, we're all geographically, we're spread out, but in the same sense, if we're going to play good competition, it's probably going to be playing each other. So I like the fact that we've played a number of South schools and wish we could have played more, but hopefully in the future we can.
Absolutely. And you guys struggle shooting the ball, just 3 of 15 from the three-point line, not something that you're used to. Is that probably a little bit of just dead legs from the last couple of weeks?
I don't know what it is. I think you're shooting in a different gym, which is tough. I think, we've had gyms we've shot really well in. We've had gyms we've struggled in. Even when we went to Twin Falls, we struggled in the first night. And then the second night, we're lights out. And third night, we shoot bad in the first half, good in the second half. And it's hard to tell. I think the biggest thing is I think so much of our offense and the rhythm that we have offensively comes from our defense. Sure. And so when you're playing at Lamar and there's 70 free throws shot between both teams and 40-something fouls, it's just a game where we had a hard time getting in a rhythm. And I think that not getting stops and not being able to push the ball and get easy looks in transition makes it tough because now you're in half court and guys like Abdul and Darius haven't got going. And so instead of an open, easy in rhythm shot, it's a tough shot, at the end of a shot clock, off the dribble that is a makeable shot, but not necessarily the shot that you want to kind of get them going. Sure. I think there's a lot of that.
Absolutely. Well, and another guy that fits in the rotation, 6'9", Kun Kwan, a guy that can handle the ball. He can shoot it a little bit. Hasn't really stepped into a huge role yet, but a guy that can really do a lot of things for your team. Talk about what he brings to the table.
Yeah, no, Kun's really just kind of on this journey, just finding where he fits on the team. And I think we're trying to find that as coaches too. Because he is 6'9", he does have great length. He's an underrated shot blocker. He's been really good in practice in some games, protecting the rim in some moments where we've almost been caught off guard. But it's trying to find the perfect role for him, which honestly for us is a defender and a rebounder and a guy that will make open shots, but a guy that really understands the offense and moves the ball and plays with pace. And Kuhn's played in a lot of different programs over the last 3-4 years. And so, he's kind of mind's going 90 miles per hour. And I think he's finally starting to slow down and kind of understand what we want. So I really think he's going to have a big second half of the year for us.
Yeah, and I think we're all excited to see that from him. And let's get a chance to know Kuhn just a little bit more as we go 94 feet with Kuhn Kwan. This is 94 feet with Kuhn Kwan. Kuhn, you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right, question number 1. What's the worst pronunciation you've ever heard of your name?
Worst pronunciation is by far Kuan. There's no dashes in my name, so I don't know where you got that from.
All right. What's the toughest thing about being 6'9"?
Toughest thing about being 6'9" are the twin XL beds that they cram us in college.
Who's your favorite basketball player of all time?
I love a lot of basketball players, but I gotta go with Kevin Durant.
All right, you're going on a cross-country road trip with one of your teammates right now. Who's the teammate you're taking with you?
I got to take my teammate Josh, EJ. He always talks about United States and mountains and stuff. And we went to Twin Falls, for the CSI game, and he loved that. So first stop's Omaha, though.
First stop's definitely Omaha. Is he a guy that's got good directional skills?
No, not at all.
All right, last question for you. You got a 3-point contest between Coach Anderson and Coach Parks. And remember, Coach Anderson's sitting right over there. Who's winning?
I'm sorry, Coach Anderson, but, I got to go with TP. Every time we start practice, I see TP shooting the ball, like a true shooter. So shooting's a touch that you don't really lose. I know he's getting old and all, but I got to go with TP.
I think he just called his head coach old. This has been 94 feet with Kuhn Kwan. Thank you. Welcome back, fans of the Casper College Coaches Show. Coach, you guys get a chance to finally come back home. You start Sub-Region 9 play this week with Central at home, Thursday night, 7:30. What have you seen on the film from Central so far?
They're a good team. They're a veteran team. They've got a bunch of guys that have played in this league before. They are very balanced in their minutes, and they have a bunch of different guys that can score. It's one of those things where they might not have, a 20-point per game guy, but they have, 4 or 5 guys that are really good. They got a number of guys that can shoot it. I think the thing that makes them good is their ability to pass, and their ability to pass from different positions. They're, the Roberts kid that starts from down low is a phenomenal passer. The Marbury kid is a great passer. De La Cruz is a really, really good passer. And they just seem like a very selfless team. Like, they really don't care who's making the shot or who's taking it. I think those teams are scary. And so they're disciplined. We're definitely going to have to guard. We're definitely going to have to know personnel in the scouting report. But it's also fun because, you get here in August and here it is January 18th. And this is the reason all this work has gone in, is for these next 12 games and,
Sure.
and then as far as we can play in the postseason. So it's also very, very exciting, and to have it at home is awesome.
Absolutely. And a team that comes in 9-9 overall, but they're trending in the right direction. They've won 3 games in a row. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they're a team that's very similar to you guys. And they have a couple of guys that can shoot the 3 ball. Marbury, as you mentioned, and then King Solomon, 2 guys that are shooting almost 50% from the 3-point line, that if they get hot, they can put a big number on you in a hurry.
Exactly. And King Solomon's another guy that, that he's got 55 makes, on the year. So he's got, over 3 makes a game, which, we're circling guys if they have a make a game.
Sure.
And so when you have over 3 makes a game and you're shooting it at that clip, somebody, and he's similar to Darius in the sense, like, he can handle the ball, he can shoot it off the bounce a little bit. I can tell you this, I think it'll be a really fun and exciting game with some really good, team basketball, and also some really good, talented individual players on the floor.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to that one. So, Coach, give us one key for that game without giving too much away. You talked about the defensive effort last week against Lamar. Is that going to be something that's going to be a big focus for you guys Thursday?
Yeah, I think just really pressuring, and trying to speed teams up and trying to get back to where we were. We know what we're capable of a team, and we've seen it, and I think we can still grow from where our plateau was in the first semester. This is a system in which the break's going to hurt you a little bit, but we just got to keep training in the right direction. And we've had a lot of really good practices this week. Guys have been locked in, and honestly, I think when you're talking about conference, it just comes down to getting stops and getting consecutive stops, and everything flows better for us offensively when we're getting stops. And so we've really got to make it about the defensive end, not just this game, but over the next 12.
Sure. Well, so then Saturday, you guys get another home game with Northwest. Starting Region 9 sub play this week, how important is it to have those 2 first games be at home to hopefully get a little bit of momentum heading in the right direction?
Yeah, it's weird, man, because I feel like we haven't played a home game this year. I mean, I know in 2024 we haven't, but even it's been, almost 2 months, a month and a half before we, took the home court, in early December. And so it'll be nice because I think even though we're still kind of getting our legs and getting in the shape we need to play the way we want to play, I think we've made a lot of strides since the fans have seen us last. So I'm excited to, sleep in my own bed tonight and go home 5 minutes away after the game and just have that routine that you get when you're at home. And then obviously the support from the community is amazing, and that'll be really, really important for us.
Yeah, and that support we talk about. Coach Canary and I had the same conversation yesterday. Just, a single girls game last week brought in a huge crowd. I think the people of Casper are excited to have you guys back in town.
Yeah, for sure.
So talking about this Northwest game, they come in, they've won 7 of 8. Very similar to Central in the fact that they have a lot of different guys that can score the basketball. What have you seen from them on the film so far?
Yeah, another good team. Another team that they may not have just one guy that dominates, their offense, but they got a series of guys that believe in their system and how they do things. And those teams are scary. The teams that go rogue and do their own thing, you're a lot more comfortable with. The teams that play together, the teams that are selfless, that move the ball, like those are the scary teams. And so, again, another team that's really hot, and another, North region, sub-region opponent. So I'm very excited because I think we've been itching to get here. And you play, when you play 18 non-conference games, by the time conference hits, you're ready.
Yeah, sure. Well, and a team that very similar to you guys played a pretty difficult non-conference schedule, and they have a couple of guys that are coming back. This is a very different team than from the start of the season. Does it make it more difficult scouting a team that has a couple of guys that maybe haven't played a ton, but are very capable to score?
Yeah, I think that there's still a level of uncertainty, and when you're dealing with freshmen and sophomores in college, you just never know when it's going to click for somebody. You could have a guy that averages 3 points a game and plays limited minutes, but his percentages look good, and maybe he's just going through, just those freshman growing pains, and maybe he's counted on one game a little bit more and has a big game, and next thing you know, the kid's got enough confidence to be, a double-digit scorer. And so it's hard, and it's hard when you're unclear on, if there's limited shot attempts and really knowing, like, is this kid a shooter? Is he not a shooter? Because you can't, if someone's taking a handful of shots on the year, you can't really tell. So it's always interesting, but I think it goes back to, we have to focus on other teams, but we can't focus on other teams more than we focus on ourselves.
Absolutely. And I totally understand that. And Coach, I'm going to take a quick second. I got to give a shout out. My brother-in-law is an assistant coach at Northwest. He's not going to be able to come down this weekend because he's got a thing going on, but he's doing great work up at Northwest. This is his first year as an assistant. I'm extremely proud of him. So Jacob Price, really proud of the work you're doing up at Northwest. I'm going to be cheering for the T-Birds this weekend, but I love you and I'm really proud of the work you're doing. So Coach, give us one key for Saturday with Northwest. Are you going to stay on the defensive end? Obviously, you're talking about the importance of focusing on your own team.
Yeah, I think for us, it's also like learning how to play when teams take away Darius and Abdul.
Sure.
Those guys are ball dominant, but they're also such phenomenal shooters that we've seen over the last few games. That's kind of been the game plan. Now, we still score the ball. We're scored 102 points, where they take them away. We score 85 at Dawson in a tough place to play, score 100 and something against United Tribes. So, we can still do it, but we've got to find creative ways when teams are really trying to take them away. And we've been working on a few things this week, just making them screeners and trying to get them to cause some kind of confusion on the defensive end, because lots of teams want specific matches on those guys. So, just really doing it together offensively, and then the defensive stuff's not going to stop. We got to crank that up for sure.
Yeah, well, talking about Darius, the report came out this week. JUCO Advocates put out a list of the top. Was it JUCO Advocates?
JUCO Recruiting.
JUCO Recruiting put out a list of the top 100 junior college players in the country. Darius slots in really highly. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, well, and those guys are great, and they've got a tough job because they're ranking 100 players.
Sure.
And every coach thinks their players,
of
the
course,
top 100 guy, top 50 guy, top whatever. And honestly, like, there's so many good players on that list, but I think it's a pretty good ranking. I would put up Darius against anybody. I'm not saying he's the number one player in the country, but to come in at 36 and to see a lot of those names and some high-level guys, I think it just shows that what Darius is doing, is showing that he's one of the best guys in the country. So, and he deserves it. He's a hardworking kid, and he's about the right things, and he's a team first guy, and he's competitive. And said when guys do things the right way, it's hard not to root for him.
Sure.
So I think he's got a big following, and due for a really good conference season.
Yeah, and we're certainly glad to have him here.
For sure.
And we'll certainly give a shout out to JUCO Recruiting and JUCO Advocate.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are not watching games on ESPN, right? They're not getting to watch North Carolina on ESPN every week. I mean, those guys are having to dig for film and really doing their work to scout.
Absolutely.
So then, Coach, the other big thing Saturday, free for fans, right?
Yeah.
Anybody that wants to come out and watch. I mean, talk about how important it's going to be to get a big crowd in here to help support you guys.
Well, I think it's important for a couple of reasons. I mean, one, it's a celebration of two historical teams at Casper College. And, the job that, Coach Sharman did with the volleyball team and Coach Ben, and the women's soccer team. I mean, 3 really, really good teams. With the fact that 2 of them are going to get to hang banners, I mean, that's remarkable. And if you look at the banners and you look at where volleyball finished, I think, I would love the support for our men's and women's basketball team. But I think this is a moment in history, especially if you've been a Casper College fan for a long time, to come out here and pay your applaud to these teams and give them a standing ovation, because we're very fortunate, but that doesn't mean that it's easy to accomplish those things. And those are some unbelievable milestones for those programs and those coaches and those players, and something that no one will be able to take from them. And so come out and support them, be available for the halftime stuff and the celebration of their seasons, because at the end of the day, I think it's remarkable, and we got to try to milk that thing as long as we can.
Absolutely. Casper College Athletics sticking together here. So, Coach, Thursday night, girls are at 5:30. You guys are at 7:30 for Central. Saturday, you guys are, the girls are at 2 o'clock. You guys at 4 o'clock. Again, Saturday, free for anybody that wants to come.
Yeah.
Come out, support the Thunderbirds, the Lady Thunderbirds. Should be really good basketball all weekend, both sides, boys and girls. So,
Absolutely.
Coach, best of luck to you this weekend. Fans, remember, always shoot for the stars, because even if you miss, there's always a chance for an offensive rebound. Thanks for joining us.